with Bonk, I wasn't a good coach. I wasn't, well, I think I was 1% of what I am now, maybe less. I said it in chat. I think they should make him untradeable. I think that's the way we should go. You can have the best structure in the world, the best comp in the world, the best tactics, everything, and then CNED is going to show up and drop 50 on you. There's nothing you can do about it, right? I'm not going to sit here and say I definitely could be a player, or if I played enough, I'd get there.
Best player in his prime time.
Oh, it has to be CNED, man.
I thought you would say that. 100% thought you would say that. A man who definitely knows his business and knows what he is talking about. Salah, let's start things first of all. I'm going to tell you the rules here. You can swear, you can be mean, you can leak, you can fuck off everything you can do, basically, when it comes to an NDA. That's fine by me. No worries. Second of all, I'm very happy to have you here. And I'm going to tell you, right? Just also the others. The way I Salah met in person the first time, the first thing he said, that fucker, was like, I thought you were way shorter in real life. So nice to have you here, Salah. Appreciate you very much coming over. How are you feeling today?
Good. Thanks for having me. I'm good. How are you guys?
It's very good to hear. Listen, let's start things very casually, right? You have been announced not too long ago for Vitality. And let's put it this way, right? Your team is not fully complete right now. So the brief question, how's Prax going? How are Prax going? How are trials going?
Amazing. Amazing. Listen, I have my PR ready thing on the back of my wall there. The roster's great. Yeah? It will be out soon. We'll know everything soon.
Promising.
It's good. Everything's going really good, I think.
It's good to hear. It's good to hear. Listen, man, we saw a lot of interviews, and one thing I'm going to start with, right? I'm directly diving into that, and then give it to my friends. You have been basically, I'm going to be harsh about it, you've been an absolute no-namer at the beginning of Valorant. You didn't have any experience. I mean, that's fair to say. Like, honestly, fair to say. You didn't have any experience. You didn't come in with anything. And you basically didn't do much in any esports in a big extent, right? Can you tell me, actually, what it was for you that you said, you know what, I actually want to be a coach in a game? And back then, by the way, I think 2020, you've also been 18 years old. So guide me through that a little bit.
So I played games competitively, I want to say, like, not an esports level, not a tier 1 esports level, but I played them competitively. I played games like TF2 way back.
Ooh, nice.
And from there I went to a game called Paladins, which was knockoff Overwatch kind of. It was really good. And funnily enough, I did meet someone called Bonka from that game. Became very good friends with him. And I think I never really had any plans to be an esports pro or be a head coach, or it wasn't ever really the goal. I was at law school. When Valorant was like the year Valorant came out, and I was having a really good time. I was enjoying law school, and then this thing called COVID happened, and it kind of just put everything on hold. There was no class, no school. I finished my exams for the year, and I remember I was talking to Bunker one day, and he was like, "Yeah, we're gonna have this free agent team. If you want to come coach, feel free." I figured, yeah, I got nothing better to do. Might as well, test it out, have some fun. Figured I'd go back to law school after, and then that team got really good, and other teams kind of came around, and yeah, from there it snowballed, I guess.
So I've got a question, and this one's a little more probably lighthearted. Who the hell is coming up with these team names? Bonk, Honk, and Yonk. What? Who the hell's coming up with these team names?
So the first one was Bonk. Just I think the thing is we had like 5 Swedes, right? And Swedes are very it's hard to get an answer out of Swedes, and most of the time you can't get, it's hard to do those kinds of things with them. And I think one day we were just talking about it, and it's like, just call it Bonk. Someone, I don't remember who it was, someone just said, let's just call it Bonk, and then it was just Bonk. And I think like when we had that, which was my team with a very, very good friend Strong, worked very close with him, and it was my idea that it would be a bit funny, basically, just to call it Honk. And from there it just kind of spiraled, and we kept doing it.
That's awesome.
Cool.
But I want to get into that, into the conversation you had with Bunker, because I kind of want to know a little bit about yourself and about the coaching position, right? Because in other articles, you just came with an interview recently. You're a remarkable prodigy as a very young coach at 22, and it's still very young as well as even a professional player, right? So why did you decide to say, hey, I actually want to stick to coaching instead of really wanting to try to pursue into like the competitiveness of tactical FPS, I guess, at that point? Because apparently it's just a conversation, say, hey, you want to try coaching for us, and then you just never wanted to play competitively, or how did that go?
I mean, for me, like on the playing side, I've never really been good at games. Is
Okay.
the thing. But more than that, I'm not gonna sit here and say I definitely could be a player, or if I played enough, I'd get there. I don't think so, or maybe I'd be like a tier 2 or tier 3 player at best. But I think for me, everything that I think I'm good at, everything that I enjoy, even in life or even in law school or even in, whatever, I think that I feel like I'm skilled at kind of does point towards coaching a lot more.
Yeah.
And I think it was one of those things where it was, yeah, I tried it out of basically just talking to a friend about it. But then I realized I could be very good at this. I can be, I enjoy this. This feels right, basically. And
Awesome.
it never really just felt like I should be a player. I should, even attempt to do that.
Mm.
So, and I'm pretty sure you mentioned this with your interview with Dexerto, but to have it again here on our show, do you feel there are any like direct correlations with the things that you've kind of learned or maybe taught yourself while you're going through law school? Because there's obviously a lot with that, right? It's kind of the hardest schooling really a lot of people could do. Are there any kind of direct correlations from law school into coaching that you think maybe kind of helps you, as such a young individual yourself, have a very open and broad mind?
I think it's not that I went to law school and learned things and it translated over. I think it
Hmm.
was rather I went to law school and let's say a good coach, or I enjoy coaching because of the same reasons. Basically, it's they match up. Whereas law school, in England at least, the exams are very much they give you a problem, they give you X did this, X did this, X killed this person, yada yada, solve this problem basically. And coaching, I think, is a lot like that as well. It's problem solving. It's
Yeah.
you know at its core, it is problem solving. It is, why are we playing badly? Why are we, shit? Why is this player not feeling comfortable? Yeah, they are. So I think it's not that like I learned something from law school that helped in Valorant or helped in coaching. I think it's more
Mhm.
that the thing that drew me towards law school also drew me towards coaching.
Mm.
Right, and this brings me to a very important point. Talking about history in particular, maybe we can bring up the Wikipedia article as well, where you see also the things you've done, right? Hong Kong, whatever. You've been in a variety of teams, and most importantly, a variety of region, North America as well as Turkey, and obviously mostly ending up in Europe. Can you give me a bit of your thoughts on what every single of those steps, or let's say blocks, 2021, 2022, were the main lessons, particular as a coach? What kind of aspect or category as a coach would you say each year has given you the most valuable lesson in?
I think with Bonk, I wasn't a good coach. I wasn't, what I think I was 1% of what I am now, maybe
Mhm.
less. I think that was the first time I'd ever coached. That was my first high level esports. I think
Mm.
for me, it was just about learning, especially from Bonka, who was at that point, a 2-time Paladins World Champion. I was trying to learn as much as possible from him, but even the people around me in that team. So I think there it was genuinely just about learning everything. And I was someone who was very open to learning, but it was to me always obvious that it wasn't going to be a long term thing. It wasn't going to be this thing where I was there for years and with them for years. They were a Swedish speaking core, among other things, right? But I think for that it was just learning
Mhm.
about myself as a coach and learning the game. And I think that was the big thing from there. When you go to phase, it was about we were a second placed EU team. I was coming, I came off with all this knowledge and all this information and all this, these things about coaching. And that was like my first real test of coaching, in my opinion, because I didn't really. No, it's not that I didn't have a chance to do it in Bunk. It's rather it wasn't. I wasn't ready then, or I wasn't there yet in terms of being a very, very good coach. I think in phase, it was about going to a team that was lacking a lot of things, was lacking, game things, and I could just add and add and add and add and add. And I think I did do that in phase, or at least when I speak to them still to this day, they'll still say, hey, you taught us so much, you added a lot. But it was in phase, I think there was still a thing of me being young. I think
Mhm.
it wasn't necessarily that of my age, but rather my experience, right? I think it was my first time being in a team and leading a team and, trying to be the head coach. And I think there were certain things that I wasn't ready for, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Mhm.
There were certain personality issues. I don't know, controlling a team, being able to not let a team run you over or certain personalities run you over. And I think in some aspects I was really good in phase. In game knowledge wise, I was really good, but in other aspects I still had to learn. And I think phase was perfect for that. I learned how to always kind of at least not necessarily be a dictator of a team or just be in control of time, but at least always be there with the team mentally, always make sure that I'm on top of everything. If there's an issue, I'm aware of it. If there's, something that I'm failing at or sucking at, I'm aware of it so I can teach myself.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was the big thing for me in FaZe.
If you and sorry to cut
Awesome.
you, Salah. I wanted to ask you because and to interrupt you on the portion where you wanted to learn a lot, right? When you first started coaching, and I remember there was a tweet and even a Discord that was created for European coaches that wanted to invite like up and comer coaches, casters, and whatnot. Me as an American, North American commentator analyst, I kind of felt like shut out of this. It's like, what the hell's going on in this Discord? What are you guys talking about here? So, what did you actually learn in this Discord, and how open are you guys within coaches of like talking through strategies or whatnot in Valorant? Is that
Is it a 10-man? Is it a 10-man Discord?
Yes.
There you go.
I think that server, it never really turned into like we're sharing strategies, we're talking a bunch. It never really turned into that. I think it was just more at that time a platform for people to meet each other. I think for me, for example, it was amazing because I got to meet Strong, who also taught me so much and also helped me big time in my career. I think if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be in the same place I was necessarily because of the things he was able to give me, right? He's like a two-time LCS winner. Just taught me everything almost about not necessarily Valorant, but the other side, the political side of esports, the mental side, whatever.
Yep.
So I think for me, it was I got to meet a guy like that. I got to meet a guy, Doombros in the Mill, for example.
Yep.
I think it was just about meeting people.
Okay. Networking.
It never really turned into like a sharing strats, talking about this, gossiping or leaking it. It never really turned into that.
Okay. No theory crafted.
This one brings me to one point that we guys earlier started on that I really want to get into. Because you talk about Strong. You obviously have Gorilla on your side as well, who's basically, just for everyone else, basically the assistant/analyst for the side of Vitality. And this brings me to the point where I set up this theory, and we can discuss this live right now. So I believe the top 4 teams we have in EMEA and NA, let's imagine for a second that they're similar/equal individually skilled. There's going to be slight differences, but imagine that. And my theory was that the year of 2023 is going to be decided by the best support staff available, by the ones who make actually the game easily understandable for teams, for players, and also get them not only to always reinvent their game book, but also like to also broaden it. Would you say that this is something that most definitely misses a component, or is that actually the case?
I do think there's going to be a little bit of a gap between number 1 to 2 and then everyone else, and then 7 to 10 maybe. I think there's going to be these little gaps basically where it's like 3 3 3. So 3 teams are going to be the best, 3 teams are going to be like close to that, and then those 3 teams are going to be above the bottom 3 teams or something like that basically, and then there's going to be a 10th. I think coaches are going to play a big part in it, of course. I think coaches and IGLs especially. I think I don't know exactly who's getting who or where everyone is going, but
sure you don't.
I think I think coaches are going to play a really big part, yeah, because I think in a league format, for me at least, the way I think about it is last year the last 2 years have been like a fever dream, right? Where it's qualifier into qualifier into qualifier into qualifier into qualifier, right? And you don't know when the next qualifier is going to be. You don't know when your next chance to play is going to be. You don't know any of these things, right? It's a guessing game almost. So to be able to sit down and say, okay, our next match is next week, and then the next one is next week, and know how to pace your team and know how to when you need to prepare and how you need to prepare, super good. I think good coaches are that's going to favor good coaches. That's going to favor the coaches that are going to know how to prepare very well and know how to change their team up and help their team adapt very well. Yep. So I think coaches are going to play a big part. I think IGLs are going to play a big part, of course. But I do agree also that there isn't. I think maybe some people are going a bit too crazy with the some teams are mediocre, some teams are super teams. I think teams are much more even spread than you think. I was thinking about the other day, right? I saw like a list, I think, of potential rumors, basically, right? And if the list is true, how many players that you would think really deserve franchising aren't there? 1, 2, maybe. Like the players who are in LCQ, the players who are in VCT the whole year, most of them are rumored to be going to teams. So it's not that the field is weaker. It's just that everyone's gone to different places. Everything's been spread out. So I think everyone's kind of on the even playing field. So it's just going to be about which team is going to be is going to mesh the best, and which team is going to be the best prepared, I guess, right?
Make sure to subscribe to Valoranting because they ask some pretty good questions, so you don't want to miss out on the answers.
And so, kind of on that topic or that thought of coaches meshing or players meshing, coaches meshing, Anders just joined us, missed the first couple minutes of the interview and how you kind of met Strong through the Discord, and what he did for you. But he's asking, like, where is this major role without Strong? Your, in Anders' words, de facto partner in crime. What was Strong doing for you historically, and how are you planning to now adapt to a new dynamic?
I think Gorilla is an amazing assistant coach. I think Gorilla is really, really good. I just want to say that before anything, right? Because he's the person I currently work with. I think Gorilla is really, really good. He even teaches me a lot as well, so it's really nice to have someone like that. And I think he is very close to Strong, which I hold in very high regards. I mean, you never know what's going to happen. Anything can happen at any time. But
wait a
I
second,
think
hold on. We never know what could happen. Are you saying that
it's hard to
maybe
say,
gonna follow
right? I
you
mean,
over? Like, what's
the future is never clear. But I think with Strong, I had this really good relationship because we built up a system together. We built up an understanding of Valorant together. So he knew how to anti-strat based on what I liked. I knew how to coach based on how he thought. It was a good kind of mesh of the way we thought about the game, and we really clicked on that regard, right? Like he was the guy who could just give me notes and notes and notes and notes of teams and give me everything about, you ask this guy for something so obscure and he'll find it with you like in that, right? He's an amazing researcher. So I think having Strong was a luxury for me. It was something that it was like a superpower almost, right? So I think with that, Strong made everything easy. I'll say like this. He wasn't, it's like a cheat code. I'll say like that. Strong is like a cheat. I think he's one of the best in the world at what he does.
Oh. Listen, okay, we have to talk about something. I'm gonna be absolutely exaggerating this for every potential TikTok clip here. So you basically had your last. I'm gonna say it like this. Maybe it's not entirely true. You basically had your last chance with OG London United. Let's put it like that. You were in NA. You were swapping region left right the entire time, and you brought OG London United from being absolutely that last one win to being at least in top 4 in LCQ. Can you do us the favor, in the terms that it is understandable and that is not revealing anything for Vitality's work at the moment, how you made that work? How was it possible for you that you made this team from being dead last to actually participating on the top level of LCQ?
I think with OGLU, I think everyone always knew they were they had a good team, right? They played good Valorant sometimes even.
Yeah.
They were almost there. I'll say it like that. They were close to being a tier 1 team or close to being a team that can compete like that. The thing they were missing was structure. They were missing a system. They were missing an idea of playing. They were missing, those things that I bring, that a coach should bring. I think they were missing a lot of those things. And I think for me and Strong, it was really easy to just come in and work. I like to do like, Bonka taught me a lot about the game as an IGL. He taught me a lot of the things I knew at the start. But Boo was kind of like my first love as an IGL, right? He was the guy I got along with the best and, had this amazing partnership with. And we would sit down every day for hours and hours and just say, okay, I would spit and spit and spit a bunch of, let's do this, let's add this. And he would say, yeah, this is good, this is bad. How about this? Why don't we add this as well? And we had this really good partnership going. And I think it was just really easy to add, okay, we're going to play like this. This is our system. This is our structure. This is how we think about the game. This is the concept we need to add. And we just practice. And luckily enough, the OG team was super talented and super ready for it all and made my life easy as well. So I don't think it was like I came in and just saved everything on my back, but I think it was a mix, right? They allowed me to come in and do my thing. They made it a lot easier for me, and they played really good. And with that, with all the stuff me and Strong brought, it just made it really easy, right? And I think as soon as those players had that system, had that structure, and had that platform, we saw, right, we were able to keep up with most teams, I would say.
So are you able to tell us like a little bit, not exactly what you brought to it, but just generally, like, what does structure mean, right?
For my question.
I feel like, okay, perfect. Because I feel like I am a P-brain. And I know there are a lot of people who really enjoy these conversations with coaches because we're like, does structure mean that you're telling them what play that they need to run on this, and this? Like, what does structure kind of mean generally? You obviously don't have to reveal the playbook here.
Structure means like, it can mean a lot of things, but in my opinion, it was we always knew what to do in most scenarios, in all of our scenarios. Everything was planned. Everything was, not the calls that were being made. Boo is an exceptional AGL, so he was making really good calls. But when we made those calls, everyone knew what needed to happen. Everyone knew, everything that had to happen within that call. We knew, what we needed to do on defense. We knew if they did this, we have to do this. If this happens, this is our reaction. We knew that, X means, this execute means this. We do it like this. We do it like this. So it was just adding a bunch of, just we knew everything. We prepared for everything, if that makes sense. It's hard to explain it without revealing anything to us because I don't want to reveal something.
No,
it's really hard to go into detail. But I would say it's just knowing how to play the game as a team, knowing, and I think also one thing, just to have a little rant, I think a lot of teams, I think the difference between a tier 1 team and a tier 2 team is in scrims, where a lot of tier 2 teams do this thing where they will run it down in your scrim. Like they will, you know, push everything. Let's do this play in short on ascent. Let's say let's peek mid now. Let's 5v5 mid. Let's push A lobby. Let's push B lobby. Let's push short. Let's make this trap in B lobby. And it's like, brother, you're doing so many things that when you get to officials, you don't know what you practiced. You don't know what you actually want to do in a game. So you've just done all these random things, and it went well in scrims because you were practicing as a certain team, just practicing one default for the entire scrim, right? But when you get to officials, the pressure is there. Your mind isn't as clear as it is in scrims. There is something on the line now, and you're not doing the same plays. You're not having the same comfortability. The game isn't as open to you. And I think that's the mistake a lot of teams make, is they just do things in scrims. They don't actually practice with goals. They don't actually practice with something in mind. They just, let's make this play. Let's do this. Let's do X. I think that's a big difference as well, the way people practice. Even today in EU, in NA, it doesn't matter. Like, people will constantly just, okay, let's run down mid.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
So the way people practice also dictates the way that they play, and I wanted to bring this question as well into you being able to coach different regions too, as we've mentioned earlier on the show, right? With the FaZe Clan, a crew over in North America, you had so many good teams in European that you coached, and you also had Turkish teams with Fireflex Esports. And I wanted to ask you, like, what is like one of the qualities of the type of play styles in these three regions that you've kind of noticed that gives an advantage for each of these regions? I don't want to go with strengths and weaknesses. I'm sure there's a reason why you're coaching these regions and these teams too. So let's focus on the strong points too.
I think with EU, I've had this, I don't want to say luxury, but I've had this experience of generally working with Eastern Europeans, weirdly. I'm almost the Lithuanian whisperer at this point, the way how many I've had in my team. So I think with them, at least with the teams I've had, which are generally Eastern European, I think they're very cool. They're very collected. They love to listen. They don't really, they'll sit there and listen to you. And like, for example, you'll be doing theory for an hour and they won't say anything. And you'll the first day you do it, you'll think, are they not listening? What's going on? Have I disconnected from Discord? But then it's just that they are listening, right? And they're doing it, and they really care about it, and they're listening, and they're doing all this amazing stuff. So with the EU, it's generally been like that in my experience. With NA, I really like the energy they have. They're very funny guys most of the time. I remember, like,
no doubt.
the accrue guys were really funny. I spent like a month with them in Texas. They were really, really funny guys.
Yeah.
And with Turkey, Turkey is a weird one. It's a bit mixed between EU and NA. But I would say, like, the one thing that Turkey has on its side, which I guess America also has it, but I think most teams are better off if they speak one language and they're from one culture. So the culture is really big in esports, in my opinion. Like, if you have different cultures in a team, it's not necessarily that it's not going to work. It's rather it can be harder to work because they speak different languages, not even just the way they're speaking, but the way they react to things, the way they communicate, the way they, if the way they get angry, the way they are happy, right? And with Turkish people, and the benefit of that was I knew how to motivate them. I knew how they operated. They're very family-esque. They're very, compassionate. They're very emotional. So it works really well. Like you say, what, fuck these guys, we want to win. Everyone's angry now. If you don't like someone, they don't like someone. If one guy's happy, everyone's happy. If one guy's sad, everyone's sad. I think that was the big thing about Turkey, which I enjoyed.
Nice.
Okay, here's the point. You have grown as a strategical individual, but the bigger component is, and shout out to Ian who did the interview with DDK, is obviously the mental game and also the emotional intelligence. Would that be something you said you learned a lot, considering not only the knowledge you give, but as you mentioned, different cultures are reacting differently to criticism. So would you say that is something that you, over your career right now in those 2 years, have learned a lot, how to approach different types of players? Because there are people who are reluctant, who are really appreciating. Would you say this is a lesson that you actually had in your life so far?
Yeah, 100%. I think it's always been something I've been okay at or decent at, if that makes sense, in life, even just being able to communicate with people, being able to understand, maybe have some empathy, right? And I think coaching is a little bit of that, having a little bit of empathy and realizing, okay, this Polish guy, Mosey, let's say, right, from OG, he communicates in a different way, and it's not necessarily bad, it's not toxic, it's not, but it's not negative in any way. It's just the way he communicates.
It's direct.
And yeah, if I say to him, why are you doing that? Maybe he's gonna have a go at me. Maybe he's gonna shout at me. Maybe he's gonna say, shut the fuck up. It's not because he actually feels those things. It's rather that's just the way he's reacting. That's the way he feels is fit. If you speak to an American guy, they're going to be a little bit more shy about criticism, in my opinion. So it's about understanding how a player ticks and not all the time catering to them, but at least doing it in a way that benefits them, right? Because there's no point of I've learned, a lot of people like to be harsh, but there's no point of being harsh if it's just for no reason. If it's just, to put the guy down or to, if it doesn't help anything, there's no reason to be harsh. There's no reason to be. I mean, it's the same with being nice all the time. There's no reason to be nice if there's no need for it. If there's no benefit from it.
So I guess now, in your experience, you've had unsigned to where you're at now joining the Partnerships League, which is fucking awesome and a pretty like meteoric rise. Do you look back on that and say, thank God I'm fucking out of, the unsigned Stone Ages? Or do you look back on that and say, like, I needed that. I really needed to kind of work through the trenches. How do you feel kind of like recapping your history from where you started to where you are now?
I mean, on one side it's both, right? On one side, I never want to go for like back, but on the other side, of course, it was good for me. Of course, having a team like Honk was the most fun I ever had. I think in the team, it was amazing. Um, those guys are more dedicated than a lot of teams I've had that were paid. Um, so I think, yeah, being signed in a franchise league, of course, amazing. A lot of at least I know what my future is going to be, what the next 6 months, a year, 2 years are going to look like. That's really nice. I can sleep comfortably at night. But there is a certain, amount of fun of building a new unsigned team, looking for an org, but it does get worn out very quickly with the unsigned teams. So yeah, I wish nothing but good things to anyone who's unsigned right now. You have a very hard way ahead of you. But yeah, I think I think I look back and I'm happy for it, but it's not something I want. I yearn for.
For sure. It's almost like you grinding law school, and then like once you finally get it, all that hard work pays off, right? So you're able to do this right now, taking a break from the law school, doing this in VCT's Valorant Partnership Program. You're in Vitality now. What's that experience been like? Because for me, when when I'm looking at the partnership teams and I hear about Vitality or I hear about Carmine Corp, and I'm hearing about like just the French scene in general, of how like the fan base is and whatnot that follows these partnership teams. What's the what was the welcoming like for you joining the roster? How's the fan base been like seeing you joining Vitality as well?
Amazing. It's been really good. I got a bunch of messages. I had one message that was like, "Oh, you're already the best coach in my eyes," which was super sweet, right?
Yeah.
I got a lot of those messages. So I love the Vitality fans already. They're really, really nice, really humble, really wholesome, rather.
Yeah.
They're like Turkish fans are very much like that as well. But the Turkish fans will swear at you when you start losing games, or like they'll get angry with you, right? Whereas the Vitality fans seem more sweet and more, full trust, full confidence. We trust you, coach. It's really nice. I love it.
That's awesome.
It's been amazing joining.
Actually, talking about that, all the compliments you get, right? I mean, surely there's like personal goals you set yourself for Vitality 2023. And I would like to know, I don't know who you're trialing. I have no clue who you're picking at the end, but I'd still like to personally know from you right here, Salah, what is your goal for 2023? Like, what do you need to see to be like, I think I've done good this year?
I mean, of course, winning, right?
Yeah,
but,
of course.
But
I think realistically being at the very least, I want to be a top 4 team contending for everything, contesting for everything. I want to be a team that everyone is looking like, yeah, Vitality, they're really fucking good. They're scary. I want to be the team that is no matter what, you got to play us. We're a test. You have to go through us, right? It's not that we're just, we're playing Vitality, whatever. No, it's like we've got. I want Doombros and them and Emil and them and the Navis, the Mills, whatever, whoever. I want them to be like, yeah, fuck, we got to play Vitality. I've got to prepare for 30 hours now.
Hell yeah.
I think at the very least, that's what I want.
That's awesome. Is that goal aligned with the conversations that you had with Vitality too? Because let's take for example 100 Thieves that went through multiple roster iterations just to try to win right off the rip, and anything less than that is not a victory. G2, whenever they're trying to do some like last minute pickups to try to qualify through LCQ, if they don't win LCQ, they failed. So for your conversation with Vitality, if you make it to top 4, is that good enough in Vitality's eyes, or what is their threshold?
I think I'd like to say we're pretty aligned with Vitality in terms of our goals. Like, I think, of course they want to win no matter what, right? They are a massive org. And that's my only aspiration as well. However, it's not as easy as just, okay, we put together a roster, we win. I think a lot of the teams are going to struggle with that. I think no matter who you are, unless you're a team that's bringing a 3-man, 4-man core and you're already, number 1, number 2, I'll let you guys guess who that is. It's really hard to just come in and build a team from scratch and just win everything.
Try to beat it and stay on top. Yeah.
I mean, if you even look at the Vitality CSGO team, they put together what should have been the most legendary core ever, right? They put Astralis and Zywoo and Apex together. That's unreal.
True.
That is unreal. It took a year for that to for that success to come into fruition. So it's not as easy as just putting together a roster and putting together names and VR. Look at the stats and say, okay, this guy's got the best headshot ratio. This guy's got the best. It's not as easy as that, and just to win, I think it takes time. No matter what, it always takes time. Maybe you're a few roster changes off. I think, I've heard that once, and it was a really good saying, which is you're always 1 or 2 roster changes off. I hope that's not the case with us, but I think it's always about giving everything time, being reasonable, being realistic, right? Realistically, we want to compete at the top.
Yeah, that's exactly
Ideally,
what I want to hear.
As a goal, we want to win.
Yeah.
But the second doesn't come before the first.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Bringing back what you just mentioned about Vitality in the CS:GO roster too, like it did take time, and they worked through the process, and they're finally number 1 on the rankings for HLTV, for example. I think that assures me, because I want to be that person that supports a team and wants to make sure that an organization doesn't want to rush into things too much, where like, hey, if it doesn't work out in the first year, let's just crush everything down and rebuild from the rip, and you're always restarting that cycle, and you're never going to get anywhere. So to see that they have that patience within their CSGO team, I'm hoping to see the same thing for Valorant as well.
It is definitely our goal. It's definitely something we're very, very aware of, and very, very, we know, how much time things takes, and building correctly as well. That's another really big thing. I think a lot of our future decisions, a lot of our decisions, at least that we make together, are always based on what we think is going to be the healthiest long term, no matter what, right? So if there is a decision we've made or we're going to make or whatever, I think it's always going to be based on what we think is the healthiest for the long term. Because right now, you want to at least have a stable core. You want to at least have a stable foundation, because if the foundation is fucked now, it's so hard to repair that. Like we saw with so many teams in Valorant and CS where it's just fucked from the start and it just never repairs, right? It's so hard to fix it. So it's something we think about a lot.
Awesome.
I am now a much larger fan. We talked about it early on the show of like trusting the process and like short lifespans in esports. And it sucks. I hate seeing that. I think 100 Thieves is one of those teams that will trust the process. And it sounds like Vitality, with you kind of at the helm, will also do that same thing for the Valorant team. So a huge fan, and I'll be paying close attention, obviously. I want to ask, in this trusting the process, and this might be for maybe aspiring coaches or other coaches who are watching and maybe just want to get your insight on it. How do you deal with setbacks, right? Because you don't want to just make roster changes, right? You don't want to just start kicking people off, bringing people in, because then you could meet the same thing. You got to get people to mesh once more. So what is something that you do in way of, you go into week 1, you lose. You go into week 2, you lose, and you're thinking, okay, what are some of those, I don't want to keep saying the word protocols, but what is something that you fall back on as a coach to kind of deal with some of the setbacks?
I have my own little system, my own little ritual, where basically whenever I lose a game, I'm always really upset and really sad and really emo almost after the game. because I'm so invested in all this, right? And I care about it all so much. So I'm always really emo and really upset and really angry after the game. And I always start blaming myself and blaming, oh, I fucked up here. I should have done this in anti-stratting. We should have played this comp. We should have picked this map, whatever, right? And that takes a few hours, maybe a day, chill out a little bit. And then the next day, after that kind of self-pity has gone, I start thinking, okay, what actually went wrong? What actually was the issue? Was it actually a player? Was it, can we fix it like this? Was it that we did this default too much? Was it that, this comp was bad? Was it that we just had a bad day? And sometimes I think a lot of people forget, especially with Valorant, this is very prevalent, which is
Yes.
sometimes you just have a bad day.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can have the best structure in the world, the best comp in the world, the best tactics, everything, and then CNET is going to show up and drop 50 on you. There's nothing you can do about it, right? Literally nothing you can do about it. So it's one of those things where you kind of have to take everything with especially after losing, you got to be a little bit chill and kind of just be an emo for a bit, go into your corner, and then come out, for me at least. And then after, start realizing, okay, what was actually the issue? What was it actually? And most of the time, it's not a player being removed. Maybe sometimes it is, who knows? But most of the time, it's not that. Most of the time, it is just, yeah, you fucked up on something. You didn't do this correctly. We didn't,
Right.
they did this. I remember, like with OG, for example, on Bind, when we played against M3C, right? I thought that game was a lot, like, maybe the score wasn't that close, but it was quite a close best of 3 in my opinion. Like, it was, I think it could have gone so many ways.
In the
It could have been
situations,
2-1
yeah.
to us. It could have been 2-0 to them. It could have been 2-0 to us. There were so many different things. And I think on Bind, for example, right, we didn't play bad on Bind. We had a really good defense, but they did this one thing on attack where they pushed second round and they pushed third round. And for the rest of the attack half, we just kind of stopped and we didn't realize, we didn't know what to do because we felt so claustrophobic basically on the map. And that, when that happens, for example, that's just they did something really good and we didn't react correctly. You can't then go and say, okay, it was this player's fault, it was this thing's fault. It was just he did this thing and we didn't react, right? So I think that's a very good example of, it's not always something. It's just sometimes, you fucked up.
Yeah.
That's it. Move on. I think that was something Notel taught me as well. OG, like, just sometimes it's shit. Sometimes you're gonna have a bad game. Sometimes you're gonna lose. Just move on.
Yeah.
Just keep going. Honestly.
Words.
It brings me on to a question actually that falls along those lines. You tell me if even my question's a little bit off here, Salah, because if we look at like a CSGO era, right, and I'm looking at NIP that won like 180 maps or 82 maps in a row, and then I'm looking at the Astralis 87, sorry, and then I'm looking at Astralis that had like the Astralis era. Naturally, everybody's trying to look for suddenly in 2020, 2021, like, was it going to be the Mick era? Was it going to be a Sentinels era? What happens? Like, what is the major cause into why we currently don't see an era of a certain team right now in this game? Is it because of an off day, or is it because the meta changes so often with so many different little minute changes in the maps and in the agents?
I think the closest thing we're going to get to errors is the way FPX were for 2 years, where they were consistently fourth, consistently third, consistently top 4, and Guild as well. Guild were always, for 2 years, consistently fourth, consistently third, never won anything, but very close there, always. I think
like
that's the
Optic
closest
and
thing we're going to get to an era. Yeah, I think that's the closest thing we're going to get to eras, because I think the game isn't built like that. The game, you can be, for example, this team with an amazing jet operator, with an amazing chamber operator, and then Riot decide, fuck that agent, and it's just gone. It's it's
true.
your entire your the core of your firepower is gone. So it's, and then you have to adapt, and it takes 2 months for that guy to learn a new agent or a new role. He's been playing chamber on 70 maps, So I think it's very hard to have an era. It's very hard to be number one and consistently win tournaments. Maybe it's going to happen. I'm not sure, but I think it's the game is not designed like that. The way the meta changes, the way things change, the way the game even runs, I think it's very, very hard to just consistently be number one.
Okay,
awesome.
Let me put it this way. Let me put it this way before we get there. Can you tell me the idea? It's a very typical question, but you yourself said you want to build that era. Can you give me, like, very briefly, just to have an idea, what are those pillars that you need right now to say I can build an era of vitality? What is, like, those 3, 4, 5 things that you need to build on to say, okay, I can build an era right now with vitality?
Yeah, I do just want to, before I start talking about this, I want to say the Astralis reference, I think, was a pipe dream, and it was never true. I think, rather, it was never possible. I think I was a younger coach and I didn't realize, okay, this is not possible. I think people sometimes, me as well, at the start of my coaching career, I thought, wow, Astralis, I want to be them. I'm aspiring to be them. And I think it's a bit too much, if that makes sense. I'm not even sure if they think like that, if Astralis think like that, right? I mean, you see Device going and saying, yeah, it wasn't that good, and Astralis, you see these. It's not as sparkly as everyone makes it out to be. I think it was just a very good team who figured out certain things before everyone else, and they, and it's not just replicatable in like, I want to be Astralis, so you can do it. I don't think it's one of those things. Like, or you shouldn't aspire to be like them. For me, with Vitality, to build an era, I mean, of course, again, win every tournament, right? But the pillars of that, I want to at least be consistent in every single tournament. I want to always be the scary team, the team that no one wants to play against. I want to be that team where at every tournament, everyone is saying, okay, we have this team, and Vitality who could win. I want to be, for me, like, that is at least the pillars of that, to go towards something like that, possibly, if it's possible. I want to be those guys who are slowly and slowly getting more consistent. Our worst day is better than a lot of teams' best day. I want to be that team. I think that was what I took away from the Astralis thing, is their worst day seemed to be better than most teams' best day, right? Because they just had these qualities about them that made sure they never dipped below a level, and that's what I would want as well. Our worst day are everyone's not feeling it, no one's feeling it. Everyone had a bit too much to drink last night. Okay, we can still grind out 13 rounds. Yeah. So I think for me the pillars are that consistency, and then a little bit of fear. I want everyone to fear us.
Hell yeah. So okay, so I got a question about like in building this roster, we're seeing Riot say, hey, you have to have a sixth man. We've seen two kind of takes so far ish on it, where we have like the Cloud9 take, Cupert, six man, and analyst. Like analyst that can play if needed. And then we have like the Sentinels take, where they just slot sick, and he's a flex player that can be the sixth man. What are your thoughts on the role that the sixth player or sixth man is supposed to be filling?
I think, I guess it depends on what you need as a team, right? I think it's just going to change based on what the org wants or what the team wants. Maybe there's a team, with a very good IGL or a very good, someone who wants to try something new and say, okay, we're going to actually try having 6 players on a team. Will it work? I don't know. But maybe someone's going to be brave enough to try that. We went a different route. I think I like the route we went. We scouted out this really, really good English player. He used to play for Ducks Gaming and other teams. He's really, really talented English player. I think eventually you'll find out he's really, really good. This English
Who
guy.
did he play for?
Ducks Gaming, I think, at one point.
Ducks.
Yeah,
DUCKS.
yeah, Ducks Gaming. I think he had some other teams as well. Revolutionary IGL. This guy. I think he was really, really good. So eventually you'll see him.
Ducks Gaming. That doesn't exist.
It does. Eventually you'll see. He's
Big man,
really,
you're lying.
really good.
Whatever. You know what? Enough of the serious thing. We're getting into a topic that is totally different because we're doing rapid fire with you, Salah. This works very easily. Tanner, Vansilli, and myself get all 3 questions, and your idea is to reply with 1 word, 2 at max, right? So I'll give it first to Tanner. He has 3 for you. Then Vansilli has 3 for you, and then I start. So Tanner, I would say go on with your first. Let's start that rapid fire thing.
Okay, so rapid fire here. Mine are always going to be silly because again, I'm an idiot. First is relatively Valorant related. Phantom or Vandal?
Phantom.
Okay. Which Valorant org has the best merch?
Vitality.
Vitality. Okay, I knew that was coming. And then, is a hot dog a sandwich? Yes or no?
I don't know. That's haram. I've never eaten a hot dog. But,
okay. No, very well.
But,
very well.
Tanner, what is that question?
I told you, I'm an idiot, man.
All right. I'll go with me. This one is probably going to need a little bit more words because it's about buffs. So they announced Cypher buffs. What is the Cypher buff you want to see the most?
I said it in chat. I think they should make him untradeable. I think that's the way we should go.
He goes.
They should give him an untradeable mechanic, like Chamber or Jay. Like he should have something that makes him untradeable.
You mean he cannot be replaced?
No, as in like he can just get killed, get out, and then you can't trade him. No, a 0 trade mechanic like Chamber and Jet.
Bro, that's hilarious because I actually tweeted out that he should TP through his cyber cages.
But yeah, I think on a serious note, I think he needs stopping power.
Yeah.
I think if you look at even Harbor has more stopping power than Cypher does realistically. The tripwires don't really do much apart from info. So I think he does need some form of stopping power, whether that's just giving him the cages slows again. Not as bad as it was back then, but maybe it's not that big of a different deal now that everyone's actually learnt the game. I think back then when they had to nerf that, no one really understood the game. So maybe now you could do the same thing and it wouldn't be as bad and it wouldn't be as egregious. But giving him some level of stopping power, like even to the form Killjoy has. Killjoy has 2 mollies that will literally just shut down a push. He doesn't have anything close. Astra has the same thing. Harbor has the same thing. Viper has it. Everyone that you would play instead of him has better stopping power. Is better on defense. He's good on attack. He's not bad at all on attack. But then he also does suffer from the fact that there is a character that is untradeable at all times in his role, and that character also does allow you to play, you can have Chamber, and just because you have this Chamber, you don't have to play Jet, so now it opens up more opportunities to play different comps, which I actually quite enjoy. But it's, again, there's something that's so much better than him, and he's, again, undertuned, so it's just, it's hard for me to say, but I think give him some kind of stopping power.
Yeah,
quickly,
hopefully we'll
before
see
you go on, Vansilli, before you go on, I just quickly want to explain to you that rapid fire means that it's a brief question with like 1 or 2 word answers. I appreciate the answer, Salah.
We wanted that answer though. We wanted that. I told him. I preface this. It says this might be a longer answer because it's an open-ended 1-word question.
I understand. This is not how rapid fire works. You can ask it at a normal time, but rapid fire is about to be compact.
Yeah.
You have a second one that is more compact.
Yeah. And then here's my rapid way to tell you, shut up, Zescht. Let me fucking continue.
Hey, fuck off, go on.
What country do you want to see champions being played in?
Good one.
Ooh. Tokyo.
Everybody wants Japan. The same here.
Actually, sick. Answer.
Cool. And then based off your experience as well, favorite team to have coached before Vitality?
Before Vitality, OG.
Nice.
Good one.
See, those 2 are better. Those 2 are better, Zescht.
No, excellent. Hey, listen, they were really good. Easiest one to ask. First one. Best player in his prime time.
Ooh. Oh, it has to be CNED, man.
I thought you would say that. 100% thought you would say that.
CNED to Vitality? Sorry, that was my rapid question. That was my rapid question there.
Further on, Harbor useful or not?
Meh. I'm not sure. For PRX, yes. For others, maybe not.
Okay, and finally, if you could right now buff one agent, any agent, which one would it be?
Phoenix.
Buff him.
Yeah.
Another.
Yeah.
Why would you buff Phoenix?
Give him like a 5th ability. I don't fucking know. Like something.
Buff him again?
Yeah.
What for? What?
You said it's quickfire, so but I think I don't know. I think he's a really fun agent. I really like the way he kind of sounds like me as well. So I like that about him.
Okay.
But I think he could be really fun in theory, but I think they need to change his wall. I think that wall is useless. Yeah. I think they need to give him something in maybe some movement, to be honest with you, because if you look at Raze, Jet, even Yoru, even
All
Neon,
move, yeah.
even I forgot any other duels. Reina, even to a level with Dismiss, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I think if you gave him some kind of escapability, some kind of going in, he could be really, really good.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna. Can I
go ahead?
Pose this Phoenix buff. Okay. Phoenix ult is now his E. It only takes 1 shot to kill it though, like a haunt or like a dart, and he can run it back as like his. And then they give him a different ult.
So his signature would be he'd be able to run it back.
So his signature would be able to run it back. So he could like just enter a site and he either just gets 1-tapped or, maybe pops off and kills somebody that doesn't see him because he'll still have his flashes and stuff. But it's 1 shot anywhere, leg, chest, body to send him back.
Okay.
I think it would be really good. And if you got a good ultimate, it would be really good. But the problem with that would be it would be like the default would become, okay, we need to shoot the Phoenix E. And then the meta would become, okay, who's going to save the Phoenix E for the right moment? Who's, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah,
it's just going to become, it would become repetitive. But I think it could be good.
One more, Sal. You say you sound like Phoenix. This is actually your time to do a Phoenix impression.
I literally was gonna. That was what I was gonna ask.
Yeah.
Can you do? Okay,
hey,
so I'm not good.
You can do it. Come on.
I'm not good with my tongue for this portion. I'm doing it with other things, but like the when he does that kind of stuff. Can you do that one?
Oh no, I couldn't do that. I don't think my tongue works that way.
I just wanted him to say a voice line. I just wanted to.
That's a voice
I didn't
line.
want to say. I didn't want him to do that. I wanted him to say just a normal ass voice line, dude. But let me guess. You don't have anyone available right now.
If someone, I don't know any of his
I'm
voice
gonna
lines.
listen. I'm gonna look them up.
Bro,
Production, look up right now.
I have it
voice
open
lines.
right now. So like,
send it to Ian right now.
Okay. I'm putting it
right fucking now. Quickly, there's no time. Okay. No, click it. Click the link, please. I beg you. It's a safe page. We tried. I wish we could have had that. You know what? There we go.
There you go.
Advertisement. Hold on. There you go. Okay, you can choose one. Choose one. You say stop. You can.
Dude, yeah, just do that one. Just listen to the run it back from your opponents.
I can do the yo.
Yeah, up.
Or let's make this quick. I can do as well.
Go ahead. Can we hear it? No, we cannot hear it, right? No, we're gonna leave it. Go. Give me that. Give me that, Salah.
Yo, you can do that too?
Yeah, okay, you're hired. I mean, listen, if it doesn't work out, you can just be a fucking Phoenix imposter, you know? It doesn't even matter. Okay, you know what? I think this is the perfect way to end the show. Thank you very much for coming over. It was a big pleasure as always to talk to you. I hope I'm going to see you next year. I hope we're all going to see you next year. I hope you're going to stay safe, stay healthy, and have a good time in Berlin very soon.
Likewise. Have a nice time, guys.